Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a podcast focused on benefit auctions and fundraising events for the nonprofit community. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes.
Yeah.
And here it is, episode 6. My name is Shelby Stokes. On the cast today, Miss Kelly Shinfield.
Kelly Shinfield.
And Mr. Paul Shinfield is also here.
Hey, you guys. Thanks again for joining us this week. We appreciate you coming back.
That is exactly right. So it is March 10th.
And don't drop off after 20 seconds. We've seen we have a drop off after 20 seconds. And I'm going to tell you, just hang around. We'll get better. Hang with us. It's like the Seahawks and what's going on with them, for God's sakes. We're going back to bare
Talk
bones.
About a sensitive
hang in
subject.
with us. Did I make that personal?
Yeah, I mean, we're all Seattleites, and Russell just said goodbye.
Stunning.
How about that?
Stunned. I can't believe it.
The Broncos. Talk about a pickup for the Bronx, right? They had a pretty rough season, didn't they, Paul? You're
Yes,
the
they
football
did.
guy. So, I mean, do you think this is going to fix their team?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
I can't talk about it. I feel cheated on, dismayed.
Yeah.
I'm sad.
So Kelly,
whatever.
Kelly and
Bunch
I
of
were
millionaires.
in a group text message thread, and the news came through. Russell's leaving the Seahawks, and she immediately responded with a message that had space, message, space. There was like 6 messages back to back to back of you losing your ever-loving mind.
There was a few curse words in there just because I was upset, but it was, friends and family I was sharing my heart with. And
so that's been big on the internet. The
Whatever it
other
is.
thing that has been big on the internet this week that I've been seeing is the question, doors or windows? Have you guys heard about this yet? Or doors or wheels?
no, doors or wheels.
Doors or wheels?
No.
So the question is are there more doors in the world or are there more wheels in the world?
Well,
man.
that's interesting because I guess you would have to describe, do you mean doors like the door that you walk through and wheels that go in a circle? Or would it be like wheels like big rollers at Vegas?
See, I think it's all the above.
Top-notch
So, like,
auctioneers.
You're peeling the onion back a little bit
Ladies
there.
with 9 grandchildren.
I'm thinking like a circular wheel and also like any door. So like a crawl space or like a trap door and an engine maybe.
So you're not thinking outside the box. I see.
No.
Okay.
No. So are there more doors or more wheels in the world?
My vote,
Okay.
wheels. That's my vote.
Doors or wheels? I would say doors.
Why doors?
Because you have to go open a door to get to anything.
Okay. I'm wheels. I'm in the wheels camp. I don't know how wheels is not the answer here. So 4 wheels in every car is the obvious observation.
18-wheeler trucks.
18-wheeler trucks, but also think about like a pocket door. Like you need a wheel to make that happen. Right?
Ooh. You need a wheel to make a pocket door happen?
But then again, doors. I mean, you think about a hotel. Think about how many doors are in a hotel. 3 or 4 doors per room. It's a lot of doors.
Times 300
It's a
rooms.
lot of
That
doors.
is.
Doors. I'm telling you,
1,200
doors.
doors.
It's doors.
Okay, so you let us know in the comments. Is it doors or is it wheels? I think it's wheels. The answer is wheels. Everybody else is just faking it. That's for sure. So let's talk a little bit about last week. What we covered last week was communication and reconnection. Essentially, we talked about ways to communicate with guests or people within your company. We talked a little bit about email, phone call, text. It was a pretty good conversation.
It's a great conversation. Yep, it got kind of everybody's juices going and kind of moving towards the right path of what we got coming next, and we're going live, so this is what we need to do that, and it was just an idea builder.
Yeah, and I think it's important that gets out in the world is that, hey, everybody's got a different way to communicate. All you got to do to achieve the goal is make sure that however you communicate, the end goal you're trying to reach is obtained.
I'm
That's
trying
all.
to communicate with people and they're not really hearing. I'm just like, no, do this. And then my child throws her food on the ground. So, I mean, is it really...
I think you struggle with communication.
No, well, good. Glad we're doing a podcast on communication.
No, actually, Shelby
Check in last week.
talked to us about last week. So we all had some
let's
events
talk
last
about
weekend.
Let's
real quick.
review last week. So last week we had a handful of events. We had 3 virtual events, believe it or not.
Yeah, we did. We had a busy week.
In the studio right here. We started off with what?
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not. So the first one we had to do with domestic violence and helping women that have had issues with their spouses not treating them very well, which was a very well done show, I thought.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
it
thought
was.
so. I think that we would have hoped they did a little financially better, but at the end of the day,
They
the
will.
presentation was flawless, it felt like. Yeah. So good work there. Any thoughts on that one, gang?
No, sad that we have to have it. Grateful we have it.
That's right.
So,
I would agree, and it's a tough subject, but it's a subject that's out there that we have to live with, and I'm just grateful that there are people out there who want to support
Yeah.
people, men and women, that need this help.
Me too. Me too.
And our other event, our second event, had to do with basically a Rotarian type organization where they raise funds and then redistribute them to the community, and that was pretty cool. It was more of an award show than it was an auction, which is where we traditionally operate, and that was pretty well done. That was two hosts that I thought had a heck of a time bouncing back and forth.
Yes, they did. They were Mark Schenfeld and Shelby Stowe.
Yeah, we had a good time.
They had a really great time. They had beads on,
I
and
think
they had
I had
masks
more
on.
fun than anybody. I did have trouble saying a name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Alice.
I couldn't say Alice.
I had to say it.
I
Alexis.
couldn't
You
say
kept
Alice.
saying.
I get Alexis. I called her Alicia at one point.
Alicia, yeah.
Alicia. I'm like, your name starts with an A, and you're just going to have to live with it. Sorry about that.
And despite that, she kept bidding.
She did keep bidding.
I'm guessing she was laughing. And then our third virtual event was a Catholic school that raised a whole bunch of money.
Whole
and they
bunch
went
of money.
above and beyond, and that was great to see. It was actually one of the first events that we did a virtual for back when the pandemic hit, and here they were represented last weekend. And
Yeah.
I was not here for that. You guys were, though.
It was great. They did great. They do a great job of cultivating their community, and that's really
Yeah.
them doing it all. We were just the little itty bitty piece of it. So that was cool. But then you were live.
Well, it's true. But I mean, before we leave that last one, can we just be nice to the presenter who has to say all these names? Right?
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
so hard.
so difficult.
So hard.
To not know how a name is said and then see it on a screen and try to read it. I'm like, aw.
Some names can be very challenging. People, we do our best.
We do our best. That's right.
That is exactly right. And then I had an in-person event for a local Catholic school in our neck of the woods, and we had some audio issues. Some audio issues. So we show up at the venue and we basically say, hey, we check in a week before. How's your audio? It's great. Don't worry about it. I've been in this venue historically, so I'm not too worried about it. We get on site and I realize that both of the microphones do not work in the foyer area where they want us to make announcements about silence and stuff of that nature. So I'm like, hey, by the way, this mic doesn't work, and also we need audio in this area. So they run around and try to figure it out. Can't figure it out.
Right.
Done. So you go out there and you have 200 people crowded down one hallway trying to wait in line to get to the item. Like, I was like maneuvering and getting skinny and wishing I had ate less for lunch. Like, I could not get to the items.
Were you just trying to yell over top of?
That's exactly
you
what I was
didn't have a
trying
mic,
to do.
You were just trying to
And it
yell.
wasn't working, right? So I'm going down the hallway, and I'm like,
No.
okay, 30 seconds. We're closing all these soon. I get to the last table before the end of the hallway. They've already been closed. So somebody is already closing the items as I'm giving a 30-second countdown.
There you go.
Great. This is going awesome. Perfect. Right? So, okay, close all the items. So we close all the items. We still have no microphones. We have a second silent table. So what we decide to do is just tell all the volunteers to take their world clock on their phone and just yell 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whenever you go to the next minute. So what ended up happening is we tried that for a couple of minutes, and then we just ended up holding our hands in the air with like, if there was 5 minutes, you'd have 5 fingers out. 4 minutes,
my.
4 seconds. Yeah, that's how we closed the second silent table.
That is
Awesome.
old school.
That's old school for
Have you-
sure.
so you guys have done that before.
Oh yeah,
That is
you
old
gotta
school.
improvise
Are you
sometimes.
kidding me?
No, I'm
Like-
not kidding you. We actually did an auction where Mark and I yelled old school and
Really?
kicked into, yep, we yelled old school over the mic.
Were you able to like get through to get through the guests?
We did the best we could. That's all that you do, right? You have to run around and talk to them and all that
Yeah.
good stuff. But
so all that to
old
say,
school.
like, there's some rust going on in the community. Like, oh yeah, no, the audio's great there, no worries whatsoever. And then you get there, and it's like a 13-year-old looking at you, like, I don't know how to fix the audio.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a little messy.
can't
So-
take anything for granted right now, Shelbs.
Right, no. Then we get to the live, and the microphone only works in like one section of
Yeah.
the ballroom.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a little bumpy. But the other thing we did this weekend is we also did a dessert dash, and it turns out not everybody knows what a dessert dash is.
Which is what
So-
takes us.
That's going to be our topic today, is it not?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's
Donuts.
talk
This
about
week's
Dessert.
topic
why we have donuts behind us.
is dessert dash. We're going to discuss a dessert dash, and if you don't know what a dessert dash is, you're going to know after this podcast.
Yeah.
So essentially, this is a way for a fundraising event to raise more funds via desserts, right?
Right. And I think one of the key things to remember is not have more desserts than tables.
Right.
Have your top-notch desserts. So let's say you have 20 tables.
Okay.
Have 10 incredible desserts
Right.
and 10 not so incredible desserts.
So that's okay. Let's back up a second. So a dessert dash is a way to raise funds. Is essentially what it is. How you conduct one is you get a number of desserts, as many desserts as you have tables, right? And then you have each table raise funds to be the first in line to go and choose their dessert.
Right.
Right. So what you're saying is you don't want 30 desserts and 20 tables.
Right. And I think
Right.
that's so. And then I know you got something to share too. So if you have 20 tables, have 20 desserts, have 10 top-notch desserts and 10 not so top-notch desserts. But as your auctioneer, your job is to point out that there are 10 magnificent desserts. And so really push.
And 10 Twinkies left over from
And
last
10
year.
Twinkies left over from last year. So if you don't get your bid amount, which is going to be in the center of the table, up to a certain amount, you're going to get last year's Twinkies.
Right, so each table has a bid sheet,
Mm-hmm.
right? You obviously have a pen there, and you just assign somebody at the table. The auctioneer or the MC can say, all right, somebody grab that sheet. And you individually, you write in a dollar amount. I'm going to contribute $25, $55, $155 and pass it to the person to your right. That person fills in a dollar amount, 25, 50, 75, whatever it is, until it goes all the way around the table, and every person at the table has contributed a dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
Then our volunteers will come by and pick up those sheets.
Yep, exactly right. So this is like a multi-step process, right? So Paul described filling out the forms, you fill those out, and then the volunteer comes and grabs them, as you just mentioned, and then they tabulate each sheet, right? So table 1 raised $5,000 or whatever the case is. And then you'll put them in order based on how much money each table raised. So that takes a little bit of time, right? So you have to be able to fill some entertainment or dinner for the guests because you're not going to sit there and tabulate those numbers in front of them.
Well,
You're
you
gonna park it and
typically
come
would
back.
pick up your sheets. So you
Right.
would pick up your sheets so that they could tabulate them. Let's just say we had 20 items. You would pick them up at item 5.
Right.
And we'd be saying, hey, we're going to pick up the dessert dash at the end of this next item, right? And so you get your volunteers ready, and they pick up the sheets right then. Then you wait a couple items because you want to give them that time, and you don't want it to be like, na, 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 right? So then
Jeopardy.
the Jeopardy, that's right. That's what that music
Mr.
was, everyone.
Trebek.
You're welcome. Mr. Trebek was amazing. Anyway, so you pick those up, and then 2 items later, you have your dessert dash. And
which is the fun part. This
which
is
is
the
the
part
fun
that
part.
everybody waits for.
yeah,
So
if it's
the-
built up properly.
True.
The volunteer just gives the auctioneer or the MC a sheet of paper that says table 3 raised $3,900.
Yep.
Table 4 raised $3,600.
Mm-hmm.
Table 9 raised $2,900, and it
Right.
goes all the way down to the very last.
Yep.
Okay. Go.
Yep. So the auctioneer reads those off. Now, with each time, he's going to really pump up, or she's really going to pump up. So tonight, the first dessert, like you said, $5,000 is table number 4. So here's where the dash, and this is where you really create the energy in the room. You watch the dash. You really encourage them to run. If they're not running, you give them a bad time that they're not running.
Oh,
You
walking, I
prior
see.
to when you're saying we're going to pick them up, make sure you're picking your table captain, your runner, because you got to have one runner, and you harass them. harass them to run faster. Or if they are running fast, you're like, oh my gosh, look at her. She really wants that one.
Wait. Do you harass the runner?
Oh, we do.
Oh, I've never done that.
God, it's
I love that.
awesome. You do, because the crowd's like, yeah, go. And then they get all flustered and they're running and they're in their
like,
gala gowns and they're running.
like,
That's not a dash, sir.
That's
Come
not
on.
a dash. Look up the word dash.
Pick up those knees. What are you doing?
So you kind of fun shame them, or if they're doing really good, then you really bring the attention to the fact that they're doing that, and it's a neat ad.
So I had one event where we had like a runway, and it kind of went into the crowd. So what I would do is I would say, okay, when I call your table, I want you to come up on the stage and then do a dance down the crosswalk, give me your best pose, and then go and get the dessert. And it was so much fun.
That's a great idea.
It was
Great
awesome.
idea.
Yeah, so we were like striking a pose and walking all funny. It was awesome.
You got to make sure that you have, if you've got a huge ballroom, you got to be careful too, because you don't want your dash to take too much time.
That's true, yeah.
Because their time sucks. They can be time sucks.
I was going to get my next question. I'm going to pose to both of you. Where do you put it in the live auction?
Depends on what the items are for the live auction. That's the thing, I think. You want dinner to have been served, right?
Okay, after dinner.
Definitely want dinner
You want
to be
dinner
served.
to be served.
I mean, in some cases, desserts sit at the table, but it's not nearly as fun. I think they should be able to eat them right after you dash. My philosophy, if at all possible, is I like to put that dash a handful of items before you get to the call to action or the paddle raise or fun to need, as we would refer to it. And my thought is like that sugar gets into their system, they're upbeat, they're happy, they're excited, and then hopefully they're willing to participate when you come into the fund.
Oh, man, let the sugar kick in right at the fun to need. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Is that true, or is that a myth about the sugar? Because I got to tell you, I mean, I've just been a while. I think that's a myth.
Coming from a grandmother. It's like,
I'm
no,
just
they
saying,
kinda-
I got an
no.
Oreo. I'm feeling
Cookies in
pretty
the
good.
morning.
Yeah, but I don't think it has anything to do with sugar. They've already been drinking, unless it's a dry one, and they're a little lethargic from the meal. So the energy and running and getting it is what's going to get them up. So I say item 5-ish.
Okay.
Unless you got 6 items.
Which
and then,
means
no,
you're collecting early, because you got to keep in mind, you got to collect those forms, tabulate them, and then the dash occurs. So you got to be ahead of that. You got to work your timeline backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're thinking, Paul? Is that when you would do it?
Yeah,
When would
most
you do it?
definitely. Most of the auctions that I do have, 15, 20 items. So my philosophy is halfway between the beginning and the fun to need.
Yeah. That's a
That
good
gives
one.
time for the runners to get them tabulated. And as Kelly mentioned, a dessert dash with 20 tables could take you, it could be 15 minutes.
Yeah, they're
12 to
they
15
can be
minutes to get
intense.
it done.
Yeah.
And then, secondly, once they do sit back down, you got to get them refocused again.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you 3-4 items to get them refocused before you do your special appeal.
Yeah, and I think that these are a great additional they are a great additional way to monetize the room.
Yeah.
And
I like
people
to-
can participate.
Yeah, I mean, I like to call these fundraising opportunities is normally what I refer to these as, but there's a number of lists of games and stuff of that nature that you can work into your live event that'll help you raise money, and this is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And it's easy.
It is.
It's easy money.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I do want to zoom out on this, right? I mean, we're talking about this in regard to an application to a fundraising auction. This does not have to be auction related at all. Like, this could be done at your potluck for the church on Saturday. And then the next question becomes, where are you going to get those desserts? Well, if Auntie May knows how to make a pie, she can make a pie or 3 pies, all different flavors, hopefully, and then you can use those as a fundraising opportunity. Paul, you also had a good idea about other ways to get desserts, right?
Yeah, I think like there's an event I do that uses Suzanne's Bakery.
Yeah.
I'm going to lay a name down here.
Oh,
Hi,
Suzanne is very thankful for that plug.
Yeah, right. We're very familiar with her. She's been a part of our event for years over there, and she donates them every year.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets her name plastered all over the materials. She's up on the screen. I'm saying her name. Her name's everywhere. She just donates them. You know, so that's that. And she makes some of the best desserts over there in Gig Harbor that you'd ever see.
And I think that is a great tact, right? Like, say you have 10 tables. Well, you really only need like 2 or 3 bakeries to hop on board. 3 desserts a bakery, you're good to go. Yeah, and then like you also talk about like the more desirable cakes.
Yeah,
and I
you
think
want
we
the
should
nice,
talk
pretty
about
cake.
that. So
Yeah.
like you have the pretty cakes, and then you have the not so desired cakes. And the running joke has always been like, if you get stuck with one of the bad desserts, so be it. That's how it goes. So let's move on to our last part of this discussion, which what is your favorite dessert that you've seen out there?
Oh,
And it can be unique, it can be extravagant, it can
What do they
be
call-
simple.
What do they call the great big chocolate one that's about that thick?
it's like a tort.
Or is that a ganache?
Well, no,
Chocolate
chocolate ganache is like a frosting. It's like a ganache.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I'm not a baker.
Yeah. I would say mine would be moon pies.
Moon pie. You saw moon pies?
I saw moon pies, and
Really?
I bought the whole thing of moon pies, even though we weren't attendees. But I bought the moon pies.
Did you really?
Yeah, so that would be my favorite. But here's the thing. It was in the dash and it never got taken.
Right.
So that's that having too many desserts for a table, right? And having
right.
it displayed a certain way.
We also mentioned Twinkies earlier.
Twinkies, yeah. Here's the thing. I think the prettiest desserts are going to bring the most money, obviously, if that's what your room is about. But I think the best takeaway from this is the dessert dash. In order to build a desirable dessert dash
Right.
and make it effective, your auctioneer can educate your community as well as your MC night of, but have enough desserts, just to kind of recap, if that's okay with
Yeah,
everybody.
that's great.
Have enough desserts for the room. If you're short a couple, great. Have a bag of Oreos in the back for those people that didn't bid, because that's all they get. Have
we're
the
talking
desserts there. That's right.
Like loose Oreos.
Loose Oreos, all crumbled up, and just throw them on their plate when you're done. Say, here, maybe you should bid next
You want a
time.
hydroxy cookie?
Yeah,
What is it called?
I don't know.
Hydroxy.
Whatever it is.
Oh yeah, those old school.
Yeah.
Focusing again here.
Okay.
So you have your desserts there, then you have the slip in the middle of the table. You encourage your people to put down their money. You pick them up at like item 3, item 5, and then you do the dash and you announce how much the dash raised. If you need extra income at your gala, this is an incredible way to get her done.
Well said.
Can I throw a quick curveball here?
Yes.
Yep.
Go for it.
And I've had this discussion many times. Okay, you have an auction.
Yourself?
You have an auction that has 20 tables.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe that if you have 20 tables and 17 or 16 desserts, you're going to lower the supply and you're going to increase the demand.
That's
If
kind
you
of what,
don't have enough desserts,
right.
Oh,
That
you
would,
tell them
So
that.
you're saying there's not
But
enough to go around.
You
There's
said give them some old crunchy cookies, and I'm like, don't give them anything.
yeah. Well, yeah, right. Don't give them anything. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There could be cookies in the back, right?
That might not be a good
But
idea.
I mean, you know your community, right? If
Yeah.
old Don is going to be upset because he didn't get a little sugar kiss on the
Yeah.
back end of the event, I would have something for him.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a dessert dash is cool. Do
Yeah.
it. Just
Do it.
just
Super
jump
fun.
out of the box.
Easy.
Do the dash. If you have any questions, give one of us a shout. We'll help you through it. Super simple to do, and you can
Super
make some bread at it.
Simple. Yeah.
Or
and
you could have bread and you call it the bread dash. Whatever's the prettiest bread, you know. You can have a
I don't
bread
know
dash.
if that
wouldn't work.
still
No,
works.
so
no.
much.
But our
Okay.
background is donuts. You could also just throw some donuts in
You
there.
could throw donuts in there.
Right?
The donut tower.
The high table got maple bars.
Oh, way to go, table 12.
Well
gosh.
done. Well done. And then you just have like 12 unfrosted donuts, whoever's the last
Yeah.
table.
And yeah, 12 doughy donuts that haven't been even cooked yet.
No, just the holes, but they're not cooked. So they're just like
Yeah.
dough circles. in a
See, I'm
box.
also a huge believer. I like the dessert frenzy over the dash. But anyway, I mean, each community's different, right?
And
so
next
the
week,
dash works
the
for
dessert
some
frenzy.
communities. And frenzies, I think, are a heck of a lot more fun.
That's right. So if this is a fundraising opportunity that works for you, feel free to work it in or shoot us an email or message if you want more details. Pretty good episode. Good work, team.
Yeah, or if you
Yeah.
didn't get anything out of what we said, just go have a donut because our backdrop is making you hungry, and we're aware of that. So feel free not to take anything or take everything that we said today and build on it. But for gosh sakes, treat yourself to a donut.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
That is exactly right. And if you want more of us, feel free to follow us on Facebook.
Ooh, if you want more of us.
And if there's also a
Seems weird.
video version
That
available
feels
on
strange,
YouTube,
Shelby.
if you are listening on
Want
an
more of us?
audio podcatcher of some kind, feel free to drop us a review. 5 stars if you'd be so kind. If it's on YouTube, please subscribe, like, or comment on the video and let us know you're watching.
Don't forget Shelby's Doors or Wheels thing.
Doors or Wheels thing.
Whatever that
That's
is.
right. It's Wheels. The answer is Wheels.
Doors.
Our intro music is Brighter Days Ahead by Mixart. A big thank you to them. We appreciate you joining us this week.
Go out, be bold, have a donut.
Be healthy. Have 2 donuts.
And go do good with donuts.
Bye, everybody.
Talk to you next week. Bye.
We out.